In this video, we are going to be adding some lightness to this Yokomo Ready to Run RC drift car by using this cheap carbon fiber chassis upgrade kit that you can find on Amazon for a really low price. We're going to see how it fits, and we're going to measure and see exactly how much weight difference does it make to this car going from the stock chassis to this one. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy and this is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me crawling and bashing and drifting and racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. One of the things you will find that I am very passionate about is helping people get started in RC drifting and doing it on the cheap, which is why I've been messing a lot with this Yokomo Ready to Run drift car, because between it and the MST, it's about the easiest, cheapest way to get into rear-wheel drive RC drifting. Plus, I like to do a lot of budget upgrades for it, and that is exactly why I have this very simple plastic bag with just a couple pieces of carbon fiber in it. This is a cheap chassis kit that you can get from Amazon. I'll provide you a link down below in the description, and it should help us improve the performance by reducing weight on this car. So we're going to start by giving it a baseline weight, and then we're going to come back around, swap everything over. I'll show you any issues or hurdles that I have with the swap, and then we will weigh it all again at the end. This car is basically stock, except I've swapped over the RevD servo. We've put a FlySky Noble controller on it with its receiver, and then it's running the Yokomo DP302 V4 gyro. Stock chassis. We've modified the alignment a little bit. It has different body mounts, stock tires and wheels on it as it sits. I'm going to weigh it without the body, just honestly because it makes my life easier. As we set it down here, we're looking at no battery, no body. The weight, total weight's 1034, and I have basically a 60-40 rear weight bias. So we're going to use this as our baseline, swap everything over, see what it looks like afterwards. Looking at this kit out of the box, the carbon fiber looks really nice. Looks like the chassis plate might bolt up just beautifully. Just kind of looking at a couple where the components are sitting, everything looks fine there. On the bottom, the holes actually are recessed in here for all the appropriate countersink hardware. Looking good there. It does come with this top plate, so we can replace that, and that's looking like it fits pretty well. It also comes with this, which is just the front bumper plate, so we can swap out this front bumper plate for something that's slightly less weight. Pretty much doesn't matter, but we'll do it anyway just for giggles. One thing that this chassis kit does not come with, as you notice, is both front and rear shock tower. That is a pretty common thing for it to come with, and it does not come with either one of them. So you're just basically doing the flat chassis plate surfaces only. Starting with the front bumper piece, it fits on nice. No real issues here. The only thing that is kind of surprising is these two screws here were not countersunk, and so the screws are, but the plate is not, which means they don't fit quite right. It's kind of messy, kind of sloppy, kind of unfortunate. You can see here how this chassis, what its contour shape is versus the stock chassis. You can see it loses a little bit of width here, and there's a lot of excess holes, a lot of open holes in here in the middle, all to help reduce weight. The good news is all the other holes in here for all the screws appear to line up perfectly, so that is very good news. So all I do here when I swap over these chassis is just take off piece by piece, screw by screw, swap them over to the new one. So we will just slowly do that here on this chassis. One interesting thing here is because of how this chassis is designed, you can actually take the two screws out right here that hold this top plate in. Go ahead and unstick all of the electronics off of the different parts. Go ahead and take the servo out, and then what we're going to be able to do is transfer this whole front bulkhead over at one time, and then transfer the whole rear bulkhead over at one time. That'll make your life just a little bit easier. Check this out. That is looking just absolutely awesome. This chassis looks great. Fitment is great. Literally the only issue I had the whole time was the fact that these two screws right here weren't countersunk. And like I said, as my son gets better, that bumper's probably going to disappear anyway, so it doesn't really matter. top deck, bottom deck both fit and look just amazing. The other thing I was able to do is, it turns out on this rear diffuser that comes with the car, it has the same bolt pattern as the back of the chassis, the factory chassis. So I cut off 40 millimeters of the back of the chassis, bolted it on there, and I'm able to move the ESC and the receiver back to that location to help again with rear balance just a little bit. So while you're at this, because it gives you the chassis, it's a absolutely free modification that you can do right there. Works great. So motor wires are plugged in. The only thing I need to really watch out, and I still need to zip tie some stuff up and clean some wiring up here, so don't judge me yet. But the other thing I got to look for is, I got to get my battery plug through here, make sure that my battery plug is long enough. It should be for all my batteries. But we need to put this thing on the scales and see just how much difference have we made. And the moment of truth shows 977. So if you remember before, we were about 1035. So that means we have lost almost 60 grams with this chassis kit, which, I'll be honest, is more than I was expecting. I kind of figured somewhere in that kind of 40 gram range. So the fact that 60 grams is gone with these heavy, top, all these plastic parts that come from the factory, the fact that that right there is about 60 grams is really interesting. The other item that we had here is rear weight bias was 59%. So we've actually gained 4% rear weight bias, and even as we did that, the rear weight only increased 7 grams. So really all that weight is off the front. So even moving the ESC and the receiver back, the total rear weight is actually not changed very much. It was 611 and we're now at 618, so that's pretty much the same. The front went from 420 to 358. So the front, and what I am noticing here now is that the front does feel like it might be a little bit oversprung, might be a little bit too stiff, and so we're gonna maybe have to end up messing with some spring rates as we continue to take weight off of this car.